Hello and welcome back to this week's show. I'm your host, Bill Hoffman, and you've tuned in to Hoffman's Hunting Heritage. This week's show is all about home defense and basically the breakdown on which weapon and strategy is going to work best for you.
Welcome to Hoffman's Hunting Heritage. Load your quiver, camo up, and join us for another great episode of outdoors action. Hoffman's Hunting Heritage is brought to you by
Advanced Takedown Tree Stands, Langia,
Sunrise Archery, author W.C. Hoffman,
and Tried Grunt Calls.
Here is your host, Bill Hoffman.
This is Stephanie Brown with Langia.com, and you're listening to Hoffman's Hunting Heritage.
Welcome back to the Heritage. Again, this week's show is home defense. But before we get into home defense, I kind of wanted to mention something to you. I, as most of you know, am an author and recently had my 12th book published. It's quite an accomplishment. I'm very proud of how far and how well I've done so far in my career as an author, and you guys can check out my books under the name W.C. Hoffman, or you can go right to Hoffman's Hunting Heritage and click the links right there. All my books take place in the outdoors. They all have a mix of hunting, fishing, gardening, survival. Most of my books are fiction. I write stories that take place in the woods and put people in situations I myself hope I'd never be in. However, if you like this podcast, I really think you will like my book, Loose Fletchings. Loose Fletchings is a bunch of short stories, a bunch of hunting stories, a bunch of those types of stories you would hear at the end of this show from my life. A bunch of, sitting around the campfire tales that I know listeners to this show would absolutely love. Again, you can check out my books, wchoffman.com, hoffmanshuntingheritage.com, or by simply searching W.C. Hoffman on Amazon. So, with that out of the way, I want to tell you what we have to look forward to on this week's show. Basically, when it comes to home defense, I honestly think the best way to look at it is how to stop yourself from becoming an easy target. That really is the best defense. I'm going to go over some strategies for that in segment 1. In segment 2, we are outdoorsmen. We own firearms. That's what we're going to talk about. I've spent lots of years telling people my thoughts about home defense weapons, as well as some of the misconceptions out there too. And with a career in the outdoors and in law enforcement, I feel like, again, these are my opinions, but I feel like my opinions are the right one. But it'll be very interesting to hear what you all have to say. So with that being said, let's step right into segment 1. When it comes to home defense, the best way to defend your home is to not be an easy target. Thieves are opportunistic criminals, meaning they will take the easy way out. That's why they've become thieves, because they've taken the easy way out of life, whether it be, not working hard, or perhaps they're stealing for an addiction. The reason why they're invading your home and your space is because you have become the easiest, most available opportunity they have at that moment. So, quite simply, here are some things that I think will really help you out. The first one, and again, these are not in any particular order, and we're going to talk about firearms in segment 2. But the first way to not be an easy target is to get a dog. I know it sounds pretty stinking simple, but really it comes down to the fact that criminals want to be in, they want to be out, they want to be quiet. The dog being present does not allow that to happen. You don't even have to have a big old, German Shepherd guard dog, pit bull guard dog. It's not about that. Again, I think that helps. Of course, I always have black labs around, but the presence of a dog, it's an alarm system. It's a walking, barking alarm system. It's going to wake you up. It's going to notify you if something's wrong. Generally speaking, of course. If I'm looking at house A and house B. House A has a dog, house B doesn't, and I'm a criminal. Which house is the easier target? House B. That's what this segment is all about, not having your house be an easy target. So we talked about it being a barking alarm, and when it comes to home defense or home security, I think that really is a key word, alarm. Installing an alarm is not inexpensive. However, it is a fantastic way of, again, not becoming an easy target. Now, one hint I will give you is one thing you don't have to do is actually install the alarm. And here's what I mean by that. You can buy the same stickers from the alarm companies on eBay or, just by quick searching that says this house is protected by an alarm system. There's signs in the yard, stickers on the window. You don't actually have to install the alarm, but the stickers do a great job of being a theft deterrent. Think about it this way. Again, house A, house B. House A has an alarm, or the thief thinks it has an alarm. House B doesn't. Which one are you going to choose? We're going to play this theme over a couple times, and each time you're going to see that the thief is going to choose house B. Now, along with alarms comes, you could call it a security system. I guess alarm, security system go hand in hand. But also, nowadays, cameras are super affordable. Think about it this way. We are hunters. We are outdoorsmen. We have trail cameras in the woods to watch deer. Why would we not have cameras on our property to thwart criminals? I mean, you could use a trail camera as a makeshift security. Now, it might not help in prevention per se if you're using a trail camera, but it'll definitely help in prosecution if something was to happen. Also, when it comes down to cameras, I think, it's really affordable to look into getting a camera system for your house. Just a simple search, you'll see that with spending under $1,000, hell, spending under $500, you're talking about 4 or 5 cameras that are infrared, see at night, indoor, outdoor, motion activated on a 2 terabyte hard drive. $500 at Costco. You can install it yourself. Guys, it's $500, and I guarantee you, what are you going to break into? House A or house B? Because house A is going to have a outdoor dome camera looking down on the door. These are the things that criminals will notice and look for. Now, when do houses mostly get broken into? Not when you're home. So when it comes to home defense, everybody thinks about the intruder aspect, but that is such a huge, vast minority of the situations of the breaking and enterings that actually happen. A lot of them happen in the middle of the day, but the majority of break-ins happen when you are on vacation. How can someone tell if you're on vacation? Well, sadly, we tend to tell people ourselves when we are away from our house and when our house is unprotected. And how do we do that? By sharing vacation photos on Facebook or Twitter or social media. It's simply that easy. If your stuff is not private, if you have people you don't know that can see your online social media profiles, if you have people other than friends and family and actual people that dirt bags can see your photos, guys, you are setting up an invitation to get your house broken into. It happens a lot. It happens a lot to people who don't have their stuff public, and word still gets out. So what are some things we can do while we're out of town, while we're away from our homes, to stop them from being an easy theft target? And the first thing is contact your local police department. Contact your sheriff's office. Contact your constable. Let them know you're going to be out of town and that you would like your home checked on. They will do that. I work in law enforcement. We do this all the time. It's very simple, it's great customer service, and it's a level of protected security. If I'm a criminal and I'm rolling through and I see a police cruiser rolling through the neighborhood, that's going to help the whole neighborhood. If I see that police cruiser parked at your house, that's going to help your house. If I see that cop out and walking around your property, I'm going to a different house to rob it. It's just that simple. By not putting your stuff public on Facebook and by by calling the local law enforcement department to request a property check while you're gone, it's that easy. When we go on vacation, a lot of times we stop our mail, right? It's a no-brainer. You stop your mail so the mail's not piling up. But if you didn't stop your mail and the mail is piling up, that might tell a thief that you're out of town. Another thing that happens, at least where I live, is when we have snow, is, people will come through or the thieves could come through and see that, wow, there's been no tire tracks in and out, or that driveways hasn't been plowed out. So if you have someone that comes and plows your driveway or shovels your walks, have them do that while you're on vacation. Yes, I know you're paying for snow removal when you're not there, but it's a lot cheaper than paying for everything else if something else was to happen. The bare minimum you could do was let a close, trusted neighbor know to drive in and out of your driveway so there's tire tracks. That is the bare minimum you could do. So that wraps up basically everything that I can think of off the top of my head in regards to not being an easy target. I promised we're going to talk about firearms in segment 2. However, there is one other thing that it doesn't fall into a firearm and it doesn't fall into not being an easy target, but I wanted to share it with you anyway. It's kind of an outside the box thought. I guarantee you, many of you haven't thought of it, but it really is a good strategy, and that is a baby gate. Even if you don't have kids, installing a baby gate in your hallway that leads to your bedroom creates a barrier between you and if someone entered your home, assuming that they're not going to crawl right into your bedroom window. Think of when you are the most vulnerable, when you're sleeping. So, in order to protect yourself a little bit more when you're sleeping is to have that baby gate, either perhaps it's at the top of the steps or it's at the end of the hallway. It's just something so that if someone did break into your home, it's just a little bit of an extra barrier for them to make noise coming over or not expect to be there, or for them to bump into it, or maybe they don't even come down. Maybe it's like a quick smash and grab, and they don't bother going past the gate because there's a mental barrier there. Even if you don't have kids, even if you don't have dog, that baby gate can mean the world to you, giving you the few seconds it takes to wake up and arm yourself if someone entered your home. The worst possible thing that can happen is other than you never waking up, is you waking up and they're in your room. That simple form of a barrier provided by a baby gate can really slow down a criminal and give you those needed moments to grab your weapon. And speaking of your weapon, that's what we're going to talk about next. So stay tuned and we'll be right back with segment 2.
When only 5 days is your season, you need every advantage you can get. The new Takedown from Advanced Tree Stands, a 3-piece modular design with its own integrated ratchet system, gets you up in a tree faster, safer than ever before. Takedown from Advanced.
Langia.com, your home for unique products that fit the outdoors lifestyle. Langia.com is the leading online social marketplace for all the needs of today's busy outdoorsmen and women. With a carefully curated list of unique products from all American companies and small businesses, Langia is truly uniting the outdoors. Next time you find yourself shopping for gear or gifts, make sure you start your search from the comfort of your tree stand, hunting blind, or bass boat with Langia.com.
Make Sunrise Archery and Outdoors your source for all your archery needs. Bows, crossbows, and accessories from Elite, 10-Point, Mission, Matthews, Bowtech, Parker, and Prime. At Sunrise, you'll get the best customer service from a team of specialized professionals. You can even try it before you buy it and learn from the top archers. Come to the professionals for all your archery needs. Sunrise Archery and Outdoors, Torrey Road, Fenton.
Once in a while, a design comes along that defies convention and challenges the way we think about performance. Missions are built from the ground up to embody the power and precision of an apex predator. Explore the unique features that make Mission easier to draw, maneuver, and shoot accurately.
There was a time when man could communicate with all animals. But we have since forgotten their language. Tribe Grunt Calls is a new company with an old heritage, providing affordable but high quality and great looking grunt calls to hunters like you. For more information on how you can join the tribe, visit tribegruntcalls.com.
Welcome back to segment 2 of this week's episode. Here is your host, Bill Hoffman.
Hey guys, this is Johnny B from Johnny B's Taxidermy, and you're listening to Hoffman's Hunting Heritage.
Welcome back to segment 2 of this week's show. I'm your host, Bill Hoffman, here on Hoffman's Hunting Heritage. We're talking about home defense, and specifically here in segment 2, we're going to talk about home defense weapons. Now, there's going to be a lot of opinions. There's going to be a lot of what works best for you might be different than what works best for someone else. So, here is my thoughts on the subject. When it comes to weaponizing yourself for home defense, I truly, in my heart, believe the best overall weapon for almost all people is going to be a shotgun. Now, there is a few specific reasons why I would choose a shotgun for home defense, and I'm going to break those down for you. But first of all, I want to talk about the other weapon types and kind of give you my thoughts on them. First, we'll start with something obvious like a pistol. A pistol has some pros. One of the pros is going to be concealability when, you have guests over, or it's easy to hide. It's easy to have at the bedside or in a bedside safe. It's easy. It's quick to grab in the case. But when it really comes down to it for home defense, the pistol's drawbacks are greater than its benefits. And here's what I mean by that. Depending on what caliber you are packing, the round might not be exactly the best for home defense. If you're not carrying a big enough round in a pistol to knock someone down and end the threat, then it's not the best gun for home defense. I personally, for home defense, would like a 40 round or up. So 40, 45 ACP. And I mean, those are going to be the two biggest one. For everyday carry, when we're talking about, in your pocket, in your purse, obviously 380s and 38 special, 9mm. They all have their place. But for home defense, the best rounds are going to be 40 and 45. The other reason I think, besides knockdown power when it comes to home defense pistols, is the fact that those rounds generally won't go through too many walls. Why would you worry about that? Well, for most of us, we're not the only people in the home. So missing and that round going into a wall and possibly going through the wall and into a adjoining bedroom or adjacent bedroom is a big concern. You are then sending rounds possibly into your loved ones. And that's one of the pistol's downfalls. The other downfall, and probably the biggest one with pistols, is people don't shoot enough. And it's not their fault, because they don't shoot enough with elevated heart rates. They don't shoot enough in life or death scenarios. And that is a good thing, but they don't shoot enough when adrenaline is involved. And why that comes into play is because with a pistol, marksmanship drastically decreases as heart rate increases. When firing a pistol, there's a lot of footwork involved. There's a lot of training involved to do it accurately under stressful conditions. We can even look at law enforcement as a whole and look at their hit rate with their pistols when in stressful situations, and you would be shockingly surprised to see how low the hit rate is. Now, generally, in these law enforcement type encounters, the distance of engagement is going to be a little bit greater than what a home defense type situation would be. However, you're not training, you're not a law enforcement officer, you're not used to people being in your home, you're in shock, and you are fighting for your life. The last thing you're thinking about is technique and training. It all needs to be muscle memory, and the pistol does not cover those limitations for you. Now, secondly, when we're talking about home defense weapons, is there's a big uprise in the home ownership of ARs, and especially the AR-15, the Armalite rifle, and other assault rifle types. Now, being an outdoorsman, AR doesn't stand for assault rifle, but the general public doesn't. And when people are looking at home defense weapons, they look cool and they're really popular, and I see them on TV, so I'm going to get this for home defense. They are a great home defense weapon if you live way out in the country and you are going to be carrying it outside of your home. Say you live on a ranch or on property and you have to worry about predators or other people. They are accurate. They shoot quick. They are easy to aim, easy to get down range, easy to get on your target. But again, we're talking about a rifle. They are not easy to point down the hallway of your house. They are not easy to grab once someone's in your bedroom. They're not the right weapon when it comes to interior home defense. Even though they look cool, even though you got 15 rounds of 7.62, it's just not the best weapon. It's not a good choice. And remember we talked about the projectiles going through walls? You start sending large rounds traveling that fast out of a rifle through walls, you have a big issue. Now, knockdown power, they do have, but unfortunately, a lot of the same things come into play when it comes to shooting rifles that does with pistols. They can go through walls, and they are not accurate for people generally in adrenaline and stress situations. So, if you think to yourself, well, Bill, you just said pistols and rifles don't do good in stressful situations because they're hard to aim. You talked about pistols and rifles. Gee, I wonder what gun you think is best for home defense. Now, I've said this phrase a couple times on this show throughout the almost 40 episodes. I do a whole lot of teaching and a little bit of preaching. And this, folks, is what I preach. The best home defense weapon there is out there is the shotty. That's right. That was an 870 Remington Express Magnum. they're just the best. And here is why. We talked about accuracy. You don't have to be accurate with a shotgun as much as a pistol and a rifle, because you are sending a pattern downrange, a deadly pattern. And, we're not packing birdshot in these things. We can be packing buckshot or even newer home defense style rounds, which are pretty cool. They actually shoot a 45 caliber size disc into the chest, surrounded by 5 or 6 different pieces of buckshot. The cool thing about these rounds is you don't have to be accurate. You can point in the general direction. The stress and the adrenaline don't necessarily come into play as much, and they don't go through walls, especially those home defender rounds. Those are specifically designed not to go through a sheet of drywall, but they will rip open a bad guy and knock them down. The other reason I like a shotgun is, let's say you have a hallway type engagement with a bad guy and you say, "I've got a gun," and it's a pistol. He doesn't know you have a gun till you either A, shoot him, or B, show it to him. Now let's take the rifle. "I've got a gun." He doesn't know you actually have a gun until you A, shoot it with him, or B, show it to him. Now let's talk about the shotty. "I've got a gun." Everybody in the world, especially bad guys, know the sound that you just heard. They know the universal sound of a firearm racking, and it's generally the sound of a shotgun. There are some drawbacks to it, and not when compared to a rifle at all. But when compared to a pistol, the shotgun is not as concealable like we talked about. It's not as easy to get into your hands, but here's where I think it makes up the difference. It's easy to get on range, and when you combine it with the other things we already talked about in segment 1, the shotgun really comes into its own. For example, when the dog starts barking and wakes you up that something's going on, you have time to get your shotgun. When the alarm goes off, you have time to get your shotgun. When your cameras alert you, you have time to get your shotgun. When someone bumps into the baby gate, you have time to get your shotgun. "I have a gun" is going to make the bad guys run. And if they don't run, they deserve what they get. You may be in the mindset that you want to kill the invader, but what is best for you, what is best for your family, is to not have any shots fired in the house. It is to scare away the invader, to end the threat. If you end the threat by them running away versus ending the threat by taking their life, I can promise you they're not coming back, because that's what a lot of people worry. I didn't kill him, he's going to come back. They're not. We talked about crimes of opportunity. You are not an easy target. When you take someone's life, even justifiably when they are in your home, that is never easier than just scaring them away. And scaring them away is in no way whatsoever easier than preventing them forever coming in your home to begin with. So every single tactic I talked about in segment 1, in my heart, I feel is more important than weaponizing yourself. That doesn't mean you shouldn't weaponize yourself. Obviously, you should. However, if it came down to it, the steps in segment 1 will keep you safer than the steps in segment 2. I know it wasn't a hunting and fishing show, but we all own firearms. We all have family, and we all worry about our own and theirs personal safety. I really appreciate you guys listening to the show. I really appreciate you guys hearing my thoughts on it. And of course, you can always head over to the Hoffman's Hunting Heritage Facebook page and click on the comment section of this episode and leave some comments, and we can have a debate. I'm pretty open on the Facebook page, guys. I'm open to debate. Maybe I missed something. Maybe you've had different experiences. I'm willing to listen, willing to read, and willing to learn. All we're going to do is, through conversation, through discussion, is educate not only ourselves, but each other. And the more education we have, the safer we are. So for this week, I'm going to leave you with this. Get outdoors. It's a wild place to be. Thanks again, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Hoffman's Hunting Heritage. Get outdoors. It's a wild place to be.